Hi, I'm Dave Crane. I'm the life designer. I wanted to share a story with you because, well, it's completely true. I also think it's something that when you hear it, it'll make a big difference to your life too. Years ago, I used to be a DJ. What's a DJ? A guy who plays music, of course. I used to do radio, I used to do little bits of TV, and I used to do lots of live gigs. And I'm not complaining, because I worked with a lot of big stars. On stage with James Brown, guys like Sting, Enrique Iglesias. I did all those kind of gigs. So why should I possibly want to change that? Well, very simply, because not all your gigs are like that. There's nothing worse than having, well, for me personally, having drunken, angry people tell you what songs they want, or playing to an empty room because it's a quiet night, or even worse, being the last person to leave, which happens to every DJ at the end of a night. I used to watch cabaret stars coming on stage when I was doing an event, and I'd be doing all the work until they came on, the audience were ready, we'd do an hour and leave. And I'd carry on playing until the last person to leave, and then I'd have to leave myself. And I thought, well, I want that kind of life, but I don't know what I can do. Singing, well, not really got a great voice. It sounds good to me when I'm doing karaoke, but everyone else seems to leave the room then. As for doing things like being a stand-up comedian, it's really hard to tell jokes. I can't tell jokes. I can be funny-ish, and that's about it. And also, hypnotists, magicians, sounded like a lot of hard work, and it sounded like something you need a very special talent for. Especially magic. All that time spent practicing in your room, on your own, could be used for doing something completely different. Like watching television, for instance. So I had to have a long think about where would I want to be and what would I want to do. And then I thought of a guy called Paul McKenna. Now, Paul McKenna in the UK started off as a radio DJ, just like I did. And then he became a stage hypnotist and then had a very popular TV show, doing lots of hypnosis stuff on stage, and it was brilliant. So I thought, well, maybe if I used Paul as my mentor, I could change my life and become like that. Find a new career and a new direction as a result of thinking, what would he do? So I contacted Paul McKenna, and he was very busy, and to be honest with you, I couldn't afford to go to the UK, stay in London, study the courses with him, and then be able to be in a position to be able to do what he did. So instead, I decided to grab the first thing I could, which was literally a hypnosis training course. So I did a hypnosis training course only because it had hypnosis in the title. And I thought, well, if I become a hypnotherapist, at least I'll be able to help people who want to stop smoking and lose weight without making up stuff. At least I know what I'm doing. So I studied that. I also studied NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which I won't tell you too much about, but it's a martial arts of the mind. And then when I was doing NLP, we did an exercise called future pacing, which you might have found through the dream experience, where you experience yourself in the future being very successful at doing something. I saw myself in a couple of months' time from that date, on stage in Las Vegas, doing a stage hypnosis show with thousands of people clapping for me. Now when I came out of it, I realized it was possible, but of course completely impossible. Here I was in Dubai, miles and miles away. How am I going to get to Vegas, and how am I going to get an audience clapping for me? Well, then strange things happened, and this is, I promise you, completely true. I ended up getting an email shortly after that saying, why don't you come to learn to do stage hypnosis in Las Vegas? I can't remember how I got hold of this email, but it was circulated and I was on the list. And then I thought, well, okay, so there's a training system in Vegas, but I can't afford to go there. And even if I could afford to go there, I've got to work, I've got to pay bills. How am I going to get to Vegas and take off 2 weeks worth of money I need to study? Then I looked at the date, and it was during Ramadan. And if you don't know, in Dubai, and certainly in many parts of the world, Ramadan is a time when there's no entertainment allowed, so I couldn't DJ during that time anyway. So let's see. Email says go to Vegas. It's during a time when I could have a break. The only thing missing was my ability to find the money. Well, I managed to scrape together the money from various sources. My parents, my now wife Aziza, who was my girlfriend then, all put in little bits to help me get the money to be able to go to Vegas, where I studied. And within 10 days, I did my very first show on stage in front of maybe 50 people, not the thousands that I saw, but it was enough to make me realize that my dream was going to come true. So what happened next? Because I've got a show coming up this weekend. In fact, I've got a show coming up very soon, which you can catch. That's why I'm telling you this. I came back to Dubai and told everybody I'm a stage hypnotist. I can do a great show for you. You're going to love it. Amazing clips, amazing stuff. And everyone said, we don't know what a stage hypnotist is, and even more so, we don't really want one. I went through every single hotel and got turned down. Every single one. Eventually, I managed to persuade one hotel where I was already DJing for New Year's Eve, why don't I do a stage hypnosis show and then DJ the rest of the night. They said, yeah, whatever, do what you want. But what they didn't tell me was they weren't going to help me fill the room. I did all the printing of flyers, I got them out absolutely everywhere. I ended up with about 30 people in for that night. Now, one of the reasons I became a stage hypnotist was earlier that year, I went through a real change in circumstances. Actually, the worst things in life are the best things, as you know if you're doing my Life Design Academy course. I went through a split with my long-term fiance, lost almost everything as a result of it, and I came through that real change. I wanted to then take charge of my life. And I was faced with a dilemma, and you will appreciate this. It was New Year's Eve, the same year that I'd gone through a split and my whole life had fallen to bits. I had a choice. 30 people is not great for a stage hypnosis show. In fact, there's a ratio of about 1 in 10 people end up being hypnotized or can be hypnotized. But with 30 people, how do you know those 1 in 10, those 3 people are actually going to go on stage? You don't. Everyone said to me, don't worry about the show, Dave. It doesn't matter. Just DJ and we'll all forgive you. Because 25 of those 30 people were the friends that I invited to that evening. I rang my parents and they said the same thing. They said, don't worry about doing a show, Dave. Just enjoy the evening. It's not important, but it was important to me. You think about it. A real change in my life circumstances. I'd managed to gather everything to make my dreams come true, to become a stage hypnotist. Everybody said no, but I was still going to do it, and I did it. I went on stage, I had bits of paper, I was shaking like a leaf, I was rustling, I didn't know what exactly I should be doing, but I followed the pattern. And I did my first stage hypnosis show. I had 4 people hypnotized, and I finished before 12 o'clock, before the new year. That for me is one of the biggest achievements I've ever had. And everyone said you didn't have to do it, but I had to do it. I had to prove to myself it could be done. That's why it's so important that I share these ideas with you, because they're real life examples. I'm not making this stuff up. And then next, I did a show where
hypnosis is not magic. I have no special powers. It's about science, it's about suggestion and the subconscious mind. You can do anything you want with hypnosis, you can do anything you want with your mind. You can even learn to speak fluent Martian. I always ask, have you ever been hypnotized? And people say no, but the truth is we've been hypnotized so many times before. When we're driving, when we're watching TV, watching sports, or even listening to music. It's all daydreaming, and that's all hypnosis is.
We've got a cheerleader in the house. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but any minute now we might be able to find out. How you doing? This is a sleep gun, and when it's fired, it instantly makes you go to sleep.
A hypnosis show is just the coolest thing on the planet. And when you see the Dave Crane show, you'll find out.